But the Steelers are making some changes. If you hadn't heard, Ben Roethlisberger is retiring after umpteen years in the NFL. He has 2 Super Bowl wins, 3 Super Bowl appearances. General Manager Kevin Colbert will indeed step down after the upcoming draft. Team owner Art Rooney II made that clear today. See, Kevin Colbert is one of the most underrated figures in the NFL because he keeps a very low profile. He doesn't self-promote. He doesn't boast or brag or do victory laps or speak a whole lot. We usually get him after the draft, and it's a very reasonable conversation, understated guy, but just gets his job done. Contributes his portion to put together a team that consistently contends year in and year out, Myles.
Yeah, and that's basically what the Steelers culture is, right? I mean, you're not getting guys who are really big on the self-promotion or whatever it happens to be. They have a program, they know how to run their program, and that's why they consistently contend for division titles year in and year out. It's why Mike Tomlin has gone 15 seasons without having a losing record there. So, I mean, yeah, they have not won a playoff game in several years. But I think that when you have somebody in Kevin Colbert who is able to set the agenda as he has, and has he been able to work with Mike Tomlin as he has in order to get different guys who are a part of that Steelers program, and usually, you talk about guys that are drafted in later rounds, the 5th, 6th, 7th round, they always know how to get exactly what will fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's kind of a big deal that Kevin Colbert's stepping down. And they say that he's going to be around through the 2022 draft. And even though they're going to be interviewing guys to take his position about right now, it's still going to be a big deal when he steps down. Kind of like it was with Ozzie Newsome, right? When he stepped down from the Ravens GM position.
I'm surprised they don't already have somebody in mind because they knew this was going to happen. He's on a year-to-year arrangement. He didn't want a multi-year contract. He was making the decision every year. And who knows, maybe his retirement will ultimately be no different than Bruce Arians' retirement from 10 years ago. He only went on to be Coach of the Year twice after he resurfaced in Indianapolis as the offensive coordinator. Won Coach of the Year that year as the interim coach while Chuck Pagano was undergoing cancer treatments, and then during one of his seasons with the Cardinals, Bruce Arians was Coach of the Year again. So there's been some speculation once David Tepper bought the Panthers that Kevin Colbert would end up down there in some capacity. It wouldn't be his GM. They have one in Scott Fitterer, but maybe he works there on a part-time basis and helps. The most important thing Kevin Colbert has done is find great receivers in the middle to late rounds of the draft. Mm-hmm. That is impressive. And I've asked him before how they do it, and of course he downplays it because he doesn't want to reveal the secret sauce as to how they find receivers who can come to the NFL despite being like a 6th-rounder, Antonio Brown, others who have been 3rd, 4th, 5th-rounder. But he's done a great job. And, Myles, Art Rooney also talked about what they're looking for in a quarterback now that Roethlisberger's gone. This team, one of the reasons they've had 3 coaches since 1969 when I was 4 years old is because they're always good. And it's very easy to have continuity when your team is always good. The Steelers pre-Chuck Noll fired people left and right. There's nothing like 4 Super Bowl victories to convince ownership to keep a guy around longer than maybe you would have. And, Bill Cowher didn't have many down years. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. But my point is this, and unlike my 49ers story, I actually do have a point. I am going somewhere with this, Your Honor. They need to be thinking about Aaron Rodgers. They really do. Even though that doesn't fit their mode, that doesn't fit their style, that doesn't seem like something the Steelers would do. Here's why. Local viewership was down 10% in Pittsburgh this year of the Steelers. The attendance was down as compared to 2019, the last year they had the full ability to load the stadium. The fans there will lose interest if the team isn't regarded as a serious contender. They stay interested because the team always is a serious contender. If they get left in the dust in the AFC North behind the Bengals, behind the Ravens, behind your Browns, you're going to have people check out like they check out on the Pirates and they check out on the Penguins. Hey, whatever they call the arena where the Penguins play, I think the name changes every other year. Wherever that place is, it's packed. It's packed when they're good. It's packed. Can't get in. When they're not good, You can get in. So it's no different. Pittsburgh's not unique in that way where they're going to blindly support you. My point then is they should think about somebody who's going to excite the fan base. They should think about somebody who's going to fill up Heinz Field and get people watching. And they should think about a couple of years with Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I think that any team that's in the market for a quarterback should think about Aaron Rodgers. I mean, but especially this one because it's a team that's in transition. I mean, we've talked about Ben Roethlisberger, we talk about Colbert, but also defensive coordinator Keith Butler. He's also retired too. So, I mean, even though Colbert and Art Rooney talked about this actually today, that they are thinking about having him have a reduced role, Kevin Colbert, in the front office, even though, you know, he's going to not be the GM there anymore. I mean, this is a team that really firmly is in transition. And so if you can get a guy like Aaron Rodgers to stabilize that quarterback position where you're not just saying, all right, well, let's take a flyer on Kenny Pickett, right, or one of these other quarterbacks that happens to be in the draft, well, that automatically puts you in contention for the AFC North, where it looks like Joe Burrow and the Bengals are going to be on top, at least competing to be at the top for a long, long time.
And I'm glad you mentioned Butler because I think his retirement is far closer to a retirement than Kevin Colbert's.
Yeah, like the Arians.
I think Butler got pushed. And look, they understand. They understand there are cracks in the foundation. They barely got to the playoffs this year. They had to pull the rabbit out of the hat to get there. They're watching the Bengals play for the right to get to the Super Bowl. They know that the Browns currently are in a position where they could be superior to the Steelers next year again. The Ravens are still the Ravens. They really have a challenge in Pittsburgh. They got to do something to turn it around quickly, or they are going to be third place, fourth place team for several years to come, which inconceivable for Steelers fans and will be not profitable for the Pittsburgh Steelers if it comes to it.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.